Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Homeschool Moms. I'm Nickie.
And I'm Ashlee. If you're looking for real, raw, and relatable moms who talk all things homeschool and mom life,
you're in the right place. This whole social media and the fact that you have to look like you're a minimalist all the time that has such a pristine, crisp area. What about houses that are lived in? Okay, I have moments where I want to look that way too, but here we are.
Yeah, but I don't watch people to I watch people to motivate me to get my life together, not to make me feel good that there's messes everywhere. So I think it depends what they want to see.
Yeah, I guess it just, when you see that repetitively over time, I think it can totally mess with especially if that's not who you are as a person.
Yeah.
It can kind of mess with making you feel like you need to be that way. But
well, I was thinking earlier today, there's a YouTuber that we've talked about. She's a very popular homeschool YouTuber. And I just I don't she makes, not that she makes me feel bad, but I don't get any good feeling watching her videos, but they're so popular. So they're always on my feed and I'll be okay, maybe I'm just being a brat. Let me watch. And I'm not shitting you. Every time I watch her videos, I'm you are not a good person. Her comments never make you feel good about yourself. It's always well, I do this and you should be doing it too. And if you're not, you're not. That's exactly how it feels every single video. And I'm just why am I watching this? What the hell am I doing? But that's on me. I shouldn't watch channels that I don't feel good watch.
Yeah. Plus, that person specifically. Yeah. Let's change the subject.
But I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you're always seeing someone post stuff and they're always looking perfect and stuff, and it's giving you a bad feeling, you probably shouldn't. But
that's
unfollow
everyone on my Instagram.
Then you're following the wrong people.
I think it almost paralyzes me in a sense because I want to put out reels and content and stuff like that. But then I look at well, I'm in a lived-in home. I'm in a house that isn't brand new. I'm in a house that doesn't have updated everything. I'm in a house that has really worn wooden floors. I hesitate putting that on camera because it's not this picturesque what everyone makes their reels and their social media posts. I feel discouraged because I'm not like them and don't see a lot of people who post those things. So here I am, I'm in my messy homeschool space, but this will never be pristine because I don't have the space for it. So
right. Yeah, but I feel you always get comments from people saying, oh my God, thank you for being real or sharing this. And yeah, and it's just you have to find who wants that kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't watch unorganized stuff. I don't watch cleaning videos either. The decluttering, I don't want to watch that. That would stress me the hell out watching somebody, I don't I can't handle that. Right. So it's just, you have to find your group of people and what they watch and not that's what I was 50,000 people love this one person. Is there something wrong with me or it's just not my cup of tea?
It's not just you.
But that's what it is. Just find, and can we just talk about how much drama on homeschool YouTube moms there's been lately? There was a whole week where I feel different content creators made these videos and was you're doing it wrong. You're not homeschooling right. Stop listening to these homeschool moms. And I'm just Jesus Christ, guys.
It was kind of intense because it was around the same time where I came out with this what is education?
What is unschooling? I'm going to take
what is unschooling? And maybe I should just stop. And then, oh my God, I just need to turn social media off because.
Well, what was funny is we had a conversation. We recorded our podcast, but that wasn't live when that other video came out. But there was very specific comments about things we discussed, and I'm what? But it wasn't.
Oh boy, we're going to put this video out and we're going to get the.
It's just when people are too, we're all allowed to have our own thoughts and opinions, but when it's too much and you're telling someone else that they're doing it wrong, that's when you're crossing a line. Yes, you're up here sharing, but don't make someone feel bad because they're not doing what you do. That's not fair. And I don't know, unless
No, and
people
there's
like to
tons
watch
of
that.
successful people. We just got a comment from Ash from Home Sweet Home. Is that her channel? Home Sweet. Oh gosh, she commented on our
Yeah, Home
podcast.
Sweet Homeschool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she does all the gather around stuff. I love Ashley.
Yeah, me too. And she commented about the person that I mentioned in the unschooling video, the Noor or whatever. They have a podcast and they talk about, it was like the one that she recommended was like something unschool geniuses or something like that. I don't know. But now I'm going to go watch it because now I'm just curious. But like, I don't know. I think everyone has an opinion and it's okay for you to share it, but you don't need to push your like stuff onto people.
Yeah. Or like make them feel bad. Just like, okay, so like that channel, Noor family, I don't remember the name. I tried to go watch some of their videos and like, I just don't connect with them. Like they seem like super nice people, but it's just not something I like want to watch. But I also don't watch a ton of homeschool YouTubers anymore. So, because it's not positive for me. Hence why I have boxes of curriculum.
It wasn't all just about like schooling. Like they were showing their house, sold their house and like the progress and all that other stuff. And like, I guess to me, I vibed because they have also a very lived in house and they weren't all about like, look at me in this perfect like picture kind of thing. But
yeah, you felt something and connected. And I think that's what's important is like, if you feel good watching someone, do it. And if you don't, you shouldn't. Like, if you don't like us and you don't feel like we bring you joy, or like we got a not so fun comment a couple weeks ago on an episode, and like just shut up. Like we don't don't be mean. I don't know what to say. Like
if spilling the tea, just shut up.
Really, like if you wrote, it was a long comment. If you took the time to be that negative, why are you watching us? Like don't listen to us. We're not making your life better.
Professionals. We're not here to like sway you one way or the other. We're literally just sitting down as two homeschool moms having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
And sharing it with the world because we'd have these conversations regardless. So we just thought, oh, cool, let's share it with the world. But anyways, if you're just tuning in, hi. That was a long, like 8.5 minute rant, fun topic for you that might ruffle some feathers again. But we're going to talk all about co-ops. But first, without our rant, do you have any updates?
I don't know. I had a rough weekend. I had a rough half weekend because one of my days was good. We were super productive. I cleaned out all of our closets. We had 7 computers that were not in use in our house, like old Chromebooks or like just old crappy computers. And so Emma needed a new laptop. So thankfully, one of the computers was like eligible to trade into Best Buy. We got like almost $300 for it.
What?
And this computer's old. This was an old MacBook that was like 8-9 years old. Like it didn't work. Like it turned on, but like it didn't work. And they gave us almost $300 for it. So basically Emma's new computer was free. So we did that. But then Sunday I woke up and I had a migraine. The last time I had this bad of migraine, I was in the hospital. So I like literally was like, don't talk to me. I like stayed in my bed in the dark all day because last time was not good. But I feel great now. So it was just
it's this wonky weather, I tell you.
Yeah, I agree. How was your weekend?
I think we're just like frustrated at this point because we're thinking of doing some house projects and like including like floors. Like we want to rip up the carpet in our hallway and we want to put vinyl over our hardwood. Yes, don't even come at me, but like it's the simpler, inexpensive solution to our problem that we have right now. And to pick that out it's different in every flipping light when it's on the wall and you take it off the wall like you're not supposed to, but we just do what we want when we're in Home Depot. And I like put it on the floor because it looks different. It looks different lighting. And then we go on the website and we scroll through the pictures and then it looks so different on those. And it's like, it's kind of just making us a little nuts. But I mean, we're for sure putting carpet upstairs on the hallway, but like otherwise we're kind of pausing our thoughts on everything else because it's a lot. And then like Molly had her horse lesson, fun. She got to go outside because it was nice out, and the horse had a blat. They were all outside, so it was fun to watch them like playing, but then her horse had to work.
Aw, so the horse was like, man, I want to go play with my friends.
Man. Sonny, he totally said he was done at some point. He was just like, and she's like, are you done? And he was like, making his little horse now. And it was the cutest thing. But yeah, and it's my birthday week. So I have a busy week planned. Just lots of things going on every day.
Yeah? For your birthday or just because you're busy?
My cousin's gonna take us out on Thursday.
Fun.
For like lunch or whatever. And Friday, I might go by my best friend Jane's house. And then we have like a homeschool gym thing that we do as well. And then Saturday is my birthday. We have horse lessons. Still have no idea what we're doing on the day. And Sunday, my friend from Missouri is coming up and I get to spend like the evening with her. So
cool. Well, if you guys are listening or watching this, Nickie's birthday has passed. It was 2 days ago. So make sure you tell Nickie happy birthday if you haven't already.
Yes. I forget we're pre-recording.
Yeah, we're not super far ahead now because I couldn't film for a couple weeks. But
yeah. So co-ops.
Yeah, let's talk about co-ops. So let's start with talking about currently if our kids are in co-op. So I'll start because I think everybody knows my kids are in co-op. They've pretty much been in the same co-op group since our first year of homeschooling. And so they're in a large co-op that has like over 400 kids, like 100 families. Like it's pretty structured. It's a pretty big co-op. And then they're also in a like smaller just mom group with like I think 10 families at this point. That's a little bit more low key. So they're in 2 co-ops and we've been in them for pretty much since we started homeschooling, like our first years when we joined them.
Yeah.
How about you?
Nope.
You're not in any co-ops right now?
Nope, not any. Nothing. Zip, zero, zilch.
Are you in like even a little group? Like I feel like you go out with some like a special, like a couple peoples, a couple little groups, don't you? I swear you're doing stuff. You're not just by yourself.
Yeah, no, really never just by yourself. But we are involved several like Facebook homeschool community groups.
Yeah.
And we, there's today, for instance, we were on. They started a Who Was series to present in at a local library, not our local library. We have to drive a bit for it, but it was so cool because she got to pick her favorite author, which I actually picked it for her because I just needed to like say that we were going. And so I'm like, boom, I know exactly who she's going to do. And then I knew she'd be okay with it. But she picked the author for A Wolf Called Wander, like Roseanne Perry. And so I made her do all the research. So she got on her website. We even emailed the author. Nice. We did not hear back, but we also figured out a lot of the answers that we emailed to her were on her website. We just didn't get to that tab yet, but she printed out like the pictures and we bought a poster board and I helped her like kind of organize it. And then she got up there with her little note cards, which let me mind you, she did not need the note cards. I did the note cards in case she got nervous and like forgot, but like absolutely not. Like I asked her because I was going to go up there with her and like hold the board. And she was like, there was a lady who runs the group was like, oh, I'll be up here if anyone wants me to hold anything. Cool. I'll just film it then. So she knocks it out of the park. I mean, she stood up there confidently. She did not stutter. Like it was great. And it blew me away because like she has never publicly spoke in front of a large group before. And yeah, the kids asked like tons of questions at the end and like for her to answer. And she asked really good questions towards the other kids that presented. There was like 18 kids that presented. So that was a cool opportunity and it's once a month. So I wouldn't say it's like a co-op, but like
it's a group.
It's definitely a group and we don't always do like school things. Like it could just be like we're meeting at a park or going on a hike. And we have a couple of those types of groups. We were meeting with another smaller group from people that we knew from a co-op. But we don't always have the time or money to commit to the things they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I got a question, like when I asked questions for a Q&A about co-ops, I was explaining it, and then I was explaining our co-op, and someone was like, well, what if we don't live in a big city and have that option? And I'm like, well, you can
Create
just
your own.
simply create your own. Like, there are people. You can't tell me there's no one in a 20-mile radius that doesn't homeschool. They're there. It's just, you have to connect through. Facebook groups are awesome.
Yeah.
Just go out. And like I said in that video, if someone is at a park or a library during normal school hours, unless it's babies, like little kids, but if it's older school age kids, they're probably homeschoolers. So co-op doesn't have to always be this like super structured. Yeah. The only reason we're in one is because my mother-in-law does it. If she wasn't able to do it, I could not do it. I have asked this co-op 1,000 times, can there please be stuff on the weekends? Can there please be stuff, during the week? Like, I get off at 3. It's not that I work super late, and they just won't do it. And so that was my struggle in the beginning, is not being able to be involved. And even now, my kids have been in this co-op for 3 years, and I'll show up randomly to an event, and the moms are like, who are you? And I feel so like, I promise I'm involved, but I can't be there during the week all the time,
I feel like you're in a very lucky position for that your mother-in-law steps in and is active in the co-op herself, and takes that upon herself to just be that person. I get not everyone has that or even has that opportunity, but you're right. Like, you can start it with anyone. I mean, we used to go to Dee, who was our guest on here. We used to go to her house and do science together. I mean, we did that for a good maybe half a year. And then when it was nice outside, we would do science and then go jump in her pool. So like,
that's fun.
You don't need it to be this like, so, and here's the thing, okay? Before we even get into like the drama of co-ops and the negatives and stuff, like, think of it as one of the main things that I feel like we're not in a co-op for is because I don't necessarily need it to be school learning.
Right.
I want it to be a group where my kid can have consistent friends that shows up every week and just hang out. Like, they just hang out. Like, and I'm not saying they need to just like, work on school stuff that they have to work on, like what would be a public schools after kids program kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, like, play a game or play the video games together, or just talk.
Yeah, just be together.
Yeah, just hang out and like get to experience what just that's like without the pressure of needing to like, commit to doing school type stuff, because that's not always going to be a fit per family. Like, if they have a Spanish class, well, maybe you already learned Spanish, or maybe you don't want to do it if your kid's not interested in that, but they're interested in the other 2 classes. So they're almost like forced to sit through that Spanish class to get to the other 2 classes that they're going to be taking. Not all of them, you get to choose your class. Like, some co-ops are designed where this is just it, and you have to be in it or not in it at all. So there's a lot of like,
there's nuances. And that's what I was going to say, because like our co-op, we get like a whole schedule. So there's like, they go to 3 classes each on a day, and then there's like 15 class choices, but only certain people get priority to pick. So because my mother-in-law like volunteers, we get to pick first classes, but there's a lot of people who don't get to choose what classes they get into. So that's really important too. And then I was looking on a state website for a state that I was considering moving to, and I was looking at their homeschool group and their co-ops, and their co-ops were Monday through Friday, but they like Mondays you would go for like a math class. So they offered teaching like math for like all the age levels, and then Tuesday was science. And I was like, well, I don't really want to replace school. So I think there's also like misconceptions where people think that, or they use co-op to replace school. And I'm with you on it. Mine is not school related. I take care of all the curriculum portion. It's way more socialization for me. So my kids are allowed to pick whatever classes they want in our co-op. There's even co-ops that teach like IEW, like one of the, you can get like licensed to teach IEW. And like, so like I know a lot of homeschoolers that like they go drop their kids off to go teach this class. And that's just such a like different from me of why we are in a co-op.
There's a lot of them. There's that Versitas Press.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And then there's like the classical one, where they specifically just do gosh, I'm butchering it, but
Oh, I know what you're
Practical
talking about.
Conversations or something.
Yes, they have that. Some of the people that are in our co-op, I think, do that.
Right.
Like almost like 3 times a week, and I'm just like, what is
Yeah.
that? Like, I don't. More like micro schooling, I guess, is.
Which is like really big right now, right? But like that's where I just come back and I go, what is education? What does my child need? Do I need to send her into the hustle and bustle of being in that setting when I kind of took her out for that? And like I get a lot of them aren't like full day programs and stuff like that, but I don't need that. I need just for her to have consistent friends that show up and get to hang out, especially in a location where not everyone is comfortable coming to our house because we have 3 pets, or or we have someone who's allergic or scared or whatever it may be, or we can't necessarily go over there because they live 45 minutes away, or there's tons of reasons why not always wanting to go to his house is a thing. But like, we were in a co-op for a good year, and the first semester we were there was great. We didn't really have any hiccups, but my biggest like draw with like wanting to not continue it was like the commitment from parents to show up and do their class that they signed up, whether to teach it or to assist it. And especially when the price point is lower, I feel like you're not going to have the commitment because people are going, I only paid $25 for this semester. If we don't show up, we don't show up.
Right. Who cares?
If you pay like $150, you're going to show up for that 10-week semester, whatever it is, or that, the day a week or whatever that you're supposed to commit to. And that was my biggest flaw. And like, I kind of like had some boundaries where I'm like, like if someone's going to text me that they need me to cover for them, like you can go on to the next person. Like I also had one child. I feel like if you have 4 kids and your 4 kids are out, like that's almost like 4 times that you should have to cover for someone. I don't know. And that's just my opinion. And I got asked a lot, and a lot of the times, like I either just had something going on that, Molly had so much mental health when we went through that, going on at the time. And that was also part of why we end up discontinuing, as there was bullying going on. And they're in this Christian mindset where let's sit our kids down and let's talk about it. And no, you're going to sit your kid down and you're going to tell your child to cut it out. This isn't like a situation where you can just leave it up to the kid. Like there are certain circumstances where you need to sit the kid down and you need to tell them this is unacceptable. This is not how we behave. Take God out of that for a second and just parent your child. I have nothing against Christian homeschoolers or anything like that, but there comes for a time and a place. And maybe that's just my grand old opinion, but like, that was a big problem. And she was just getting to the point where she was scared that like these kids were gonna do something to her. And the last straw was the very last semester. They didn't allow me to be in a class with her. I had to go and assist all high school class when my child was in 2nd at the time. And I sat there bored out of my mind because the high schoolers don't really need assistant teachers in their class. And while my child, I couldn't enjoy or be in a class that I wanted to see her and get to see what she was doing in the class and make sure she's okay, because she was going through a lot at the time and they wouldn't switch me. And I'm like, what? Like, how is this? Well, then we'd have to, allow it for everybody. And it's like, okay, maybe, but this is a certain like circumstance where she's mentally not in the right mindset. And when she's like that, it can get bad. And I was really peeved that like, I just, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, we can just pull ourselves out now, but I already paid for it. And so we lasted through the semester, and then we didn't go back. And we tried
So-
another one, and the commitment wasn't there either. And we left that one like after a few sessions, maybe. So I'm like, nope, like I just don't think it's for us.
Yeah. And that, I think that's very important for everyone to understand. Co-ops are ran by parents. Even the one my kids are in, it's very, very structured, but there is someone at the top. There is a homeschool mom at the top, and there is a group of other homeschool moms that are right underneath. And I think the problem with co-ops is because they can do whatever they want. They get to make the rules. They get to say, you know, you have to do this or you have to do this. And like your situation, like you were trying to ask them, which it's not a school district. Like these are just other homeschool moms who are like, hey, I think I should be in my daughter's class for this reason. And they're just like, no, you know, or like mine, where I was like, hey, could I volunteer like at the last class of the day because I don't get off work till 3, but I could make it there on time for the last class. No, you have to be here for all 3 hours. Well, why? Like, why can't I, like, you know, I'm trying to be there. So that's my problem. And I do also see like favoritism with like if you know you're friends with the top homeschool mom or if you're not friends or you don't
1,000%.
you're not as Christian as they are, you don't go to the same church that they go to, or you know there's unfortunately there's a lot of judgment, which is ironic because I'm talking about a religious homeschool group too, and the judgment is super much there from some. But I've also met like other homeschool moms who like are freaking amazing. They will come grab my kids for me, like if there's an event during the week that I can't make it to, and like I'll pick them up late if they drop them off. And so I don't want to say they're all judgmental and bad, but it's there.
Yeah, and I saw that as well. And then, you know, you also have some people that get put in these roles that they didn't necessarily want, or they're not the like confrontational type of person. And it's like when you're in a role like that, you have got to be confrontational. You have got to know how to handle situations and not just like let them brush under the rug. And I got put in a predicament of, you know, I had one of the top persons confide in me that their husband was addicted to porn. And so of course, like I was a little bit taken back because I didn't know what to do with that information other than to just listen, but something about it felt very wrong and off to me to keep it to myself. But then, so my husband is a recovered addict, and I know like the addiction behaviors, and I know that a lot of addicts often come with lies and hiding and stuff like that. And I was afraid that if I were to have said something, how that husband would have reacted had he found out. I was afraid for like my own safety. Would he come after me? Would he do something? Because I'm like, well, if he's involved, how do we know what kind of stuff he's addicted to? You know, like adults or not adults? Like, you know, there's that line, and I don't mean to come across as like super controversial right now or whatever, but like that was just my concern because I had this experience. And so that also kind of rubbed me wrong. And that was another reason why I didn't go back. And then then we found out that her husband was teaching a class the next semester. And I'm just like, on what part is that okay? But who's going to be the one to like shut it down? You know what I mean? Like we're all parents. There's no principal who's going to fire you. Like this is all volunteer led. And from my understanding is that a lot of people knew about. And I was just kind of even more like grossed out, I guess, that like it was this. But then again, maybe it wasn't that bad. And it was, I don't know. All I know is I didn't go back.
I mean, well, here's what we all have our gut feelings, right? So if you felt like something was off, I trust my gut over anything. And I'll be wrong sometimes, but I'd rather be wrong and avoid a situation than go into a situation. I mean, I guess my only thing is, especially from you, because I feel like you're very understanding, especially of something with like an addiction. Was like he in recovery, or was she just like sharing like we all have marital issues, right? So this was just like a, hey, we're eating lunch, by the way.
Oh yeah, this was like crack of dawn in the morning before people even got there. So that's what hit me for the whole day. But like, you know, at first I didn't know what she was talking about because she wouldn't even say the word. She just used the P word. And I thought she meant pot. And it definitely was not that. And when she told me, I could be empathetic towards her, and I could be, what I felt as helpful as possible because I've been through this addiction aspect of it. But like the more she went on, the more he really wasn't in any kind of recovery. And she was the kind of person who, like, she wouldn't divorce him even for whatever reason, that anything that happened in there, she doesn't feel that that's a reason to divorce. And so, like, there was a lot more than just the P addiction. It was, there was marital affair and all that. So, it just was something that I didn't know if she shared with anyone. So I didn't know how to handle the situation.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. It was awkward almost. And I shouldn't have felt that way. I feel like because I was the one who was talking about my husband and his experience. So maybe I opened that door to where she thought. Yeah. But I also don't run the co-op. So
well, and I think
my husband isn't involved, like he's not there ever.
And you share your story because of, I think, the success, right? And like the recovery of it and like the place you're in now. But I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think when you're going through a bad time with a friend or a spouse or a kid, when it's actually happening and you're not like on the other side of it, it's very dangerous to share those things because you get these types of like, what? Like, why are you telling me that? And like, am I in your corner? Like, do you want a divorce? Do you not? And then, then you have to go talk to this man who's teaching your kids and you were taught like this negative thing about him. His own wife is being negative about him. So how are you supposed to view that? She should have never had that conversation. That's just my opinion. I don't think those things should be shared unless it was like a past thing. Like, look, he's doing so great now. This is what like the steps we're doing. It seemed a little,
and the other worry is like she actually mentioned that like her kids were also having a bit of a struggle. And I'm just like, your kids are in these classes with other kids. Are they telling other kids about this?
Of course they are. That's what kids do. Of course they are. Until, oh my God. This is probably why I'm not a part of a co-op, because like there's things that I just don't find acceptable. Like everyone has their vices. I'm not saying like my life is perfect, my spouse is perfect, my kids are perfect, but there's some lines that like, especially, you're the one who's running this and like allowing things. Like I wouldn't be comfortable if they held a co-op event at their house. You obviously aren't monitoring anyone and letting stuff happen. So because like our co-op, like, yes, we go to classrooms, but during the week, there's people hosting stuff at their houses. Like our co-op leaders have stuff at their houses all the time.
Yeah, it was not really like that unless it was like, their friends or whatnot. It wasn't like a group thing. I don't think that would ever meet at each other's houses. But it just, looking back on it, I wish I would have handled it differently. I wish I would have mentioned that given the situation, it wasn't appropriate to know. But, I just had to like kind of brush it over my shoulder and walk away knowing that like I made the best choice for us. And you will never know what happens behind anybody's door ever.
Right. Yeah.
And that could be your closest friend to someone that you just met. And so I'm not saying that like I would have necessarily gone off on her because how do I know that the other girl sitting across me doesn't have some even worse situation?
Yeah, but the fact she's just openly sharing it and talking about it is, I think, what allows it. And like she's not in the right place. She shouldn't be a leader and someone like technically you're looking up to and your kids are looking up to talking about things like that. Like you weren't close friends from my understanding, right? This was not like a close conversation that you caught off. This is her, and she's probably sharing with more than you. And so that's an image, right? And like kids are smart. So her kids are sharing stuff. And unfortunately, that's just not an appropriate thing in that environment.
Yeah. So that just, I don't know, co-ops have just rubbed me the wrong way. And I haven't found one that I really love. And there are more expensive ones, but they're really hard to get into. And it's just not been thrown in our lap. And I think maybe the older she gets, the more I can reconsider that. But as of right now, we do enough within our homeschools communities that like I don't see a need to be in like a formal situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm even at the point sometimes, like just today. So my kids were gone all day. Mila has a co-op event on Wednesday during our normal school time. And then my mother-in-law was like, oh, there's an event tomorrow, right during the middle of our school time. And then we have doctor's appointments. And I'm just like, I only school my kids 3 days a week. And I feel like I'm constantly like, oh, well, they have co-op again today. Like they could probably do something every single day with their co-op if I allowed it. And I feel crappy saying no all the time, but I'm like, it's almost too much sometimes too, to where like, and that's what I struggle with. So I'm like, me and my mother-in-law, not that we get into it, but I'm like I need boundaries.
Yeah.
And like, we're getting to the point where the boundaries are starting to like, get ran over because she likes doing it.
And we homeschool sometimes to be home.
That's what I'm kind of like when they're gone all the time. I'm like, hey, this is defeating the point, And like they are with their friends. And so I can say my kids have a very, very, very active social life. But sometimes when it's too towards the social aspect and not enough school is when I start getting a little like, okay, I need to reel it back in, guys. So.
Yeah, well, when it's too much, then like I'm the same way. I mean, we definitely don't have that atmosphere. Like we are not, maybe other kids do, but we haven't like come across the whole like dropping people off at each other's houses kind of thing yet. It just we haven't found people that to do that with. Or I want to hang out with the mom. So like, but it's also like a lot of that I feel like takes place on the weekends, and our weekends are so filled with doing stuff together that we don't necessarily get around to doing that. I'm not opposed to it. We just haven't found that like solid group of friends that we could do that with, because we're not in, you go to some of these types of homeschooling events. It doesn't mean you're always connecting with a specific family or person. You're just going so that your kid gets to do whatever they're doing. And it doesn't really mean that she's even making a friend that day. So it takes consistency in showing up to these things to really get those friendships and bonds with other families and kids, which is a whole other part of it. You have to be willing to go and keep going to develop these relationships.
I agree. And so like we've been in this co-op for almost 3 years, and the only way I got some of them was finally like these kids' birthday parties, because those are normally on the weekends. So I'd be like, okay, I'll take you. And then I would walk in the house to meet the mom, and she's like, oh, hi, like not because they're my older daughter, like they're drop-off events, like, and they're so used to it, like, why are you coming in here? And I'm like, well, I'm a little crazy, I can't just drop my kid off. But that's how I got to know a lot of them. And actually it's been 3 years and there's hundreds of families. There's 2 moms that I am like, they will help me out, I will help them out. One of them actually is my neighbor, which we finally realized, so that's super nice, because like we can literally walk to each other's house, and like our kids are all the same age. But that took years, and it was really hard for me too, because I'm not there ever, and the older kids get, the less involved parents get, I feel. And so it makes it even more hard to like connect.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I guess when I was, if I go to my own circumstances growing up, my mom was the breadwinner. My dad died early on, but like she was working a lot. And so I'd have people over at my house. It was never really a question, but I also went to a Catholic school. I graduated with 40 kids in my class, and a lot of those I grew up with from kindergarten.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a question of, ooh, maybe you shouldn't go to their house kind of thing. But like nowadays, you just don't know. And like, especially in this homeschooling thing, it's just different. Life's just different. And maybe that's how it still is for some public school people. But like, I can't imagine not going in their house to see what I'm dropping my child off to, and the environment and the vibe that I get and everything like that. Because there's a thing about gut and vibe. that is definitely goes into play. Anything else we want to discuss on co-ops?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. And I think we're going to get some good comments on this because I think it's a hot topic. I think people have very strong feelings about co-ops, good or bad. So
yeah, I think it's just important if you're looking for a co-op to really take the time, go to an open house, go while they're doing the co-op. And ask to shadow along for the day or something like that to really get to know what you're walking into, what you're paying money for, and feel the vibe. If there's not a good vibe, it's likely not going to get better. See who's on the board, see who's in charge, see who these people are, and like talk to them. Because there's nobody that's going to advocate for your child like you.
Right.
And some of these, like, they're parent led, they're doing the best that they can. And so you need to decide what's best for you and what's best for your kid. So we're not opposed to co-ops, and I don't mean to like sludge it or anything like that. In today's thing, we just have not found one with a good vibe and it just hasn't been a pair. It hasn't been a match.
Yeah. And that's what's important. Like if it doesn't serve you, it's not positive for you, then you don't need it. And that's what's good about homeschooling is we don't have to do this. I don't think anyone should feel like you have to be in a co-op. It's just like what works. And
we left public school,
yeah,
like we don't need to like replicate it. We don't need to have all of these things where, we always talk about this socialization stuff. Like that's not going to get our kids to socialize by replicating public school and having all these intense classes where they have to be quiet and listen to the teacher and never have a moment to, do work stuff together or fun things together. So make sure there's that too, because you don't need it to replicate it.
Right.
But that's my 2 cents.
I agree. All right. Well, that's the episode.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye.
We want to hear from you. Your feedback is invaluable to us. So let us know your thoughts on today's episode. Share your topic suggestions or ask us any burning questions you may have. Your input shapes the direction of our podcast, and we're here to create content that resonates with you.
If you enjoy listening to homeschool stories, curriculum reviews, advice, struggles, and overall mom life, this podcast is for you. But so is our YouTube channels.
Don't forget to check out our individual channels. We share even more content, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at our lives. Thanks for listening.